the Growler with BD and Jay. Here to analyze for you today. From Growler Bad to Jay's got stats. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Growler Podcast.
Welcome into the latest edition of the Growler Dey Nights. Pauliner Jr. here with Jay Morrison. This is one of those emergency pods.
Yeah,
we had to do it. We had sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. We had to. We weren't going to. This wasn't going to be that day. You're thinking, wait, I thought Dey Nights was tomorrow night. Well, that's correct. It is also tomorrow night. We're still doing a schedule release Dey Nights tomorrow night. But a thing happened today, Jay. A thing happened.
it sure did. And it was totally unexpected and out of the blue, which, as you wrote in your piece, it just, the absurdity, I think just smacked everybody in the face. Just a weird visual, seeing him at practice, seeing him hold a press conference while the team is practicing behind him. Just everything about today was unlike any other day I think I can remember since covering this team.
Cue the music, Jay.
Yeah, do it.
Like sand through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
What a huge day it was for the meme, Jay.
Yes.
Just huge for the meme. I have enjoyed it. This thing was birthed in all its glory. Back in the dead of the free agency. We have nothing to talk about. How do we have nothing to talk about? We thought we'd have something to talk about time, and it has lived on, and we get to keep bringing it out. But really, no day like today felt right to pull out the Treys of our lives graphic with Katie and Trey looking very into this soap opera.
And as you found out, an unlikely fan of this meme.
Yeah. Turns out Trey Hendrickson likes Treys of our lives. Big fan. I don't know if it's this particular photo, potentially, but likes the Treys of our lives hashtag for sure. There it is. So we're really kind of here celebrating Treys of our lives right now.
Yeah.
And discussing what it is. Can we just, but I want to quickly, we're going to get into the timeline of today and some of the weirdness of today here in a second. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about BetMGM, Nation Kitchen and Bar down at the Banks. It's probably packed right now with people. The Reds are playing. It's a big week homestand down there, so it's a great place to go before and after games, really anytime. But we are hooking you guys up right now. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM, use the bonus code Growler, and you'll get up to $1,500 on your first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the app, BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code Growler. You deposit at least $10. Place your first wager on any game. Jay says you should be betting against the Rockies every single day. It's an absolute, it's free money. And then you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. So just make sure you use the bonus code Growler when you sign up. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code Growler and you can get your first bet offer today. Okay, we're doing that for you. You can also bet on this not ending anytime soon. The Trey Hendrickson situation. How's that for a smooth segue, Jay? But I'll say this. The day started, I had a top 5 surreal moment for me covering this team, which is saying something considering the things that we've seen around here, you and I, over the last couple of decades. I'm walking in to the stadium thinking it's a very boring, normal Tuesday. And as I'm going across, the car that stopped at the red light, kind of all of a sudden I hear my name, Paul. And I turn around and it's Trey Hendrickson. And you've seen what he's got the hat, he's got the like kind of golf shirt on, and he's in his SUV at the light. And I'm like, hi, he kind of waves me over. I go over, we talk for a little bit in the street. And as soon as a car or two kind of went by, I was like, we were kind of like, I think maybe over there is probably maybe a safer spot rather than I'm standing at the intersection. It was very polite. Like it was it wasn't like this was some content. It was just talking about why are you here, right? Which is the first question that he was asked today. And we talked for a while or whatever, and then all of a sudden he goes, and I'm thinking, okay, well, he's here to talk. I'm here to talk. I want to address everything. I want to air it out. I want to clear the air. I feel like a lot of people are talking about him, and he has things he wanted to say. And so we went out there, and we all said, hey, Trey Hendrickson's here. He goes out to the field. He's out there. He's kind of talked with Jerry Montgomery for a little bit, the new defensive line coach, talking with Bengals PR, Bengals security. That's about a couple of players. But I mean, they were having practice. So it was very, very surreal. And then it comes to be at the end, he's going to come over and he wants to speak to everybody that's there. We're going to do it on the field. Not going to go in the locker room. This isn't going to be like something in front of a Bengals backdrop. There's not going to be any, press it's not a press conference in a standard Bengals setting. It's just, here's Trey. He's got things to say, and he wants to talk, and he did.
I'd like to know, did he know the schedule? Did he know the media were going to be there today?
Yes.
I assume so. You saw him. Practice was 11:15. So you saw him 11-ish, a little after 11. He was in the building at 6 a.m. So after he had his initial conversations, where did he go? What did he do? Did he try to talk himself down, or did he psych himself up? Did he rehearse what he wanted to say? I'm wondering what he did in those hours before he came back. But yeah, it didn't feel like he had things he wanted to address, but it didn't feel like it was really well planned out. A lot of his answers were very verbose and kind of weaving and getting off the point and trying and circling back. And it was, from an entertainment standpoint of being different and not being a mundane Tuesday practice, it was I don't know if enjoyable is the right word, but you anytime you get anything out of the norm, it does kind of make the day more fun. I just don't know that he did himself or is doing himself any favors with the way he's going about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like in his mind, he has tried every way to go about this over the years. And he said, being silent doesn't work. That's clear, is something that he said. It feels like, and he went kind of a little bit more explosive behind the scenes last year, where we had the trade request and like weird retire word was thrown around and like all that stuff. And that didn't work. And he tried the trust thing, where he was like, well, he did the extension. He detailed that, the signing the 1-year deal a little bit more than he has before today. But he kind of suggested that he did that with the idea of the team saying, hey, we will make you continue to play at this level. We'll make good by you. Inevitably, this is not, my thing is, for Mike Brown and family ownership, like, a contract squabble in May, I mean, as sure as the flowers will bloom, right?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
it's just commonplace, not losing a wink of sleep over that. That's just, maybe in some places and in a lot of places, something like this could have effect. Or you would hear Mike Tomlin in front of a microphone saying, we want volunteers, not hostages, the next day, right? I mean, that they're fine with hostages here. Like, it's just kind of part of it. But so it's gonna almost makes them dig in more, I think, when something like this happens, where you go this method, because it's a lot of the same talking points, and then we'll play a couple here for you. It's a lot of the same talking points. It's not like there's a ton of news. It's a little more open about some of them. Sharks were involved, but like, it's still a lot of the same issues that the Bengals have put out an offer that has Trey not feeling like it's the level that he wants it to be at or that the market is at. And he said, I'm not going to apologize for the defensive end market being what it is. And so I just, that number sits there. Let's do this. Let me bring in a little bit from today. Got a couple snippets for you. Let's start with kind of the basics of the numbers. When was the last time you talked numbers with the Bengals? And then a question about potentially sitting out games.
How many numbers were exchanged between the sides?
Go ahead.
When was the last time that any numbers between your side and their side were exchanged?
That's a difficult question too, right? Because it goes on like the meetings that we've had prior to, right? I have a tremendous amount of respect for the ability to be in meetings with them behind closed doors, and what was conveyed of the vision of what I would be in this organization would be if I continued to play at the level I am, that the door would be open to continue long-term discussions about contracts. So it's one of those things that we're just not seeing eye to eye on the structure. It seems that a shorter deal is something that they are pushing pretty hard. That puts us in the same place I was in 2022, where I have to renegotiate the next year, because if goals are the same and playing at a better level than I did last year, then next year we're just kicking the can down the road. So it's something where I think both parties should understand that a long-term contract with guarantees that know that I can continue to play at the level that I have been is a mutual respect, where that's where my values lie, and it also allows me to stop having to negotiate every offseason about something that has been almost 4 years of doing.
Are you willing to sit out regular season games? You feel like if it came to that, is that something you feel like you might have to do to try to, if it came to that, you'd be willing to do that?
Well, I can raise a hypothetical with a hypothetical. I wouldn't be standing here with you if I got the deal in January, so to say I'm going to sit out or to say I'm not going to, what I can say is I'm very disappointed with the communication that's been had. It's former players have walked in these shoes, and what it foreshadows is not something that I'm excited about to tell my wife and family, like, hey, I'm getting good vibes or should be happy. Those comments stink, and that's what makes this place so special, is that they watch me every day. They see how hard I work. There's no other organization knows me better than this one. They watch me an individual. They see how I carry myself as a human being, and they know me. So it stinks when the value somewhere else, because I was fortunate enough to have that trade request granted, whether it was 1, 2, 3 first-round picks, I had no idea. It gave me the fortunate circumstance to see my value elsewhere, and I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, and I truthfully will put my hope in that. Ultimately, though, my hope is in the Lord.
So the second piece to this that comes a little later, and we need to pull up video for it, is just kind of ask them about, would you play on your current deal? Is that an option to play on your current deal? And you heard a couple of his answers. Most of his answers sounded like that. They were long. You mentioned they were verbose. He kind of was there to speak. The answer to that one was one word: no. Yeah. Period. Next question came. That was that, and it was the clearest answer of the entire day, and maybe the most impactful answer of the entire day. The one that just came with one and saying that no, that's not going to be an option. Now, I don't know. Are you of the belief, Jay, that Trey Hendrickson, when push came to shove, it's easy to say on May 13th, maybe I'll sit out games, I won't play, this, that, the other. Would he be willing to say that on September 7th? And aren't the Bengals betting that he will just play?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Whether he believes it or not, you can't say it. You can't just show your cards and be like, oh no, I can't afford to sit out. And that just gives the Bengals even more leverage. And you said it, they're betting. And that's what this whole thing is about, is, you think about it, and he's 30, and that there's that cliff that comes after 30 at some point. And if you've got a younger team, and if you've got a team where you don't have a ton of money wrapped up in these massive contracts, the Jamar and T and Burrow and Orlando Brown, there's guys that are making a lot of money on this team. If you don't have that, you can take that risk. You can say, this guy's our best player. We're going to bank that he's going to keep playing at this level beyond age 30 and take that risk. They've done that before. They did that in 2018 with Geno and Carlos, and it bit them. They didn't play that well once they got beyond 30. It's too much of a gamble at this point to do a long-term deal with them, and they don't have to. And so I don't know. I'd be surprised, because it's not even about September 7th of this year. It's about September, whatever, 6, 8, whatever it is, of 2026. Because if he sits out games and nothing happens and he doesn't play, you're right back in the same position next year. That just can't happen. And so I think in his mind right now, maybe he does believe it. Maybe he does. There's no way. He's not just saying that because he can't give them leverage. Maybe he truly believes there's no way I'm playing on this deal. But you've said it many times, deadlines make deals. And that's the only deadline in this entire scenario is September 7th, week 1. And the Bengals know that, and they don't have to be in a hurry. Now, you could argue that they should treat him a little better. They should be responsive. There should be conversations. You can't just ghost a guy that it means so much to your franchise. And I think that's what's really put him off. It's the disrespect more than the dollars at this point.
Yeah. It's the fact that, as he said, he feels like it got personal. Mm-hmm. And that's when we waded into shark-infested waters. And so let's take a little into this getting personal and the arrival of sharks.
You talked about how the narrative in your statement yesterday. Why have you made the choice to go to the national media to talk about your side of things?
I think a lot of players in the past have been silent or didn't stand on values where telling the truth will set you free. It's a value my parents raised me with when I was young. As a follower of Christ, the truth is the way. And so to have these tough conversations and say the truth, right? I'm a Floridian. So there's unprovoked shark attacks and there's provoked shark attacks. And the comments that are being made, right? Whatever happened at the combine, whatever happened at the owners' meetings, and the text I got yesterday, this is not something where I'm just twiddling my thumbs thinking, oh, how can I get the next one up? Most of the teammates will agree. I don't spare my opinions. I kind of stay out of the media for that reason, because I am an emotional player, and after a loss, it's a lot harder to talk than after a win, especially in the circumstances that we had last season. So I carry it with a tremendous amount of respect, but these things are provoked. I would love to say to sit quiet is a good strategy. It is clearly not. Players have done it all over the league, including Jamar last year. He did a great job being disciplined through the process, and great. I'm so proud of him and the way he handled adversity. I can't speak enough volumes, but he deserved a contract last year, he deserves it this year, and he deserves one in 5 years.
I guess to follow up on that, how frustrating has it been watching T and Jamar get their deals while you're sitting there waiting for yours? And why do you think that there was more emphasis on those two getting them over you?
I think, for one, love, right? I love those guys. I want every player on this team to get their value, and I believe that's fair. I think what they agreed on in their own personal walks is up to them, but them going before me or after me is not something I'm frustrated about. I think if we all can fit, that's the ideal circumstance. I was the one that took the approach of saying, if we don't fit, I'm willing to help the team win in any way, shape, or form. And sometimes there's not fits, and if that's me, so be it. I'm willing and able to work. I love to work, and I look forward to it, but there's no animosity for guys, and the reasoning behind it is probably they have the best quarterback on the planet to spin the ball, so I'd prioritize receivers myself. It is almost like building a fantasy dynasty.
You mentioned personal a few times, that it's become personal. At what point in the process did you start to feel that way? Was it the
the mini camp fine text or whatever that happened, or when did it go from business to personal?
Well, circumstances changed post-draft and prior to, right? And I think I alluded to that a little bit. So they're starting to change very openly. Conversations are being had, like even to be here today. This is something I felt to do as a man. It has nothing to do with slighting any organization or slighting any of my players. This is something where I know there are questions around my name that need addressing. And as a man, I hope my son looks at this and says, well, I addressed it. You wear your lumps, right, wrong, or indifferent. You move forward and you grow and try to be more like Christ every day. And I need to work on patience. That is something that's clearly evident in my life. And through this, I am able to massage what Trey Hendrickson, the person, has to get better at through this process. So I'm incredibly grateful for the circumstances, not only to glorify the Lord with my play, to have a platform to speak on the behalf of the other players that have gone through this or similar circumstances, to bring light to some of those things and do it in a respectful way, because it's very hard not to take it super personal, because we play an aggressive game.
Jay, have you ever provoked a shark?
I cannot say I have, nor will I ever.
I'm not sure what, like, I appreciate where he's going with here.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know how you provoke a shark or why one would. So I'm not totally aware of. I want to know more. If you're, in the comments here, maybe you're also a Floridian, which when he said I'm a Floridian, I was like, Florida man, where are we going? Where are we going with this? Okay. But I appreciated the idea. I just don't know that I totally understand the idea of provoking a shark. Let me know in the comments if you understand about how you provoke a shark or why you would. But he brings up a point here beyond the provocation, is that it felt personal because there was a text sent to him. The text was sent and it was from Zach Taylor, and it was at minicamp. Just so you know, the CBA has fines involved with missing minicamp, and that in his mind was provoking by making it in his mind sound like nothing's going to get done, and you're saying you're going to find me, and we haven't talked, and this is what I hear. And so when he came in, yeah, he's in the building. There's conversations. There's talking about whatever's happened. Then he ends up with us later on in the day. But is it personal? How personal is it to now? And I guess, tone and specificity of the message matters. But like, how personal is it to be like, hey, it's in the CBA stating that you get fined if you're not at mandatory minicamp, keeping this on your radar, right?
Yeah, and I get it on his end where he's already frustrated, and then something like that, you can take it the wrong way and get a little triggered. And he even said that later in the conversation where he texted and I reacted. And he even, he said I think he realized that maybe he went a little overboard in his reaction to what Zach was saying. He was saying he loves Zach and he respects everything that he does and how he takes all the lumps whenever anything goes wrong. And he was singing his praises afterward. And I think he did realize, and maybe that came about from their conversation today when he got to the stadium, that yeah, I probably overreacted to that text. But it's still, I get it where it's 30 days, well, not 30, what is it, 27, 26 days away, and you get that, hey, just a heads up, and you're already frustrated that there's not been any conversation. And this is basically, even if Zach didn't intend it that way, in his mind, he's saying, well, there's not going to be, nothing's going to happen in the next 26 days. So just so you know, you got to be here. The thing about it is, this happens a lot. Guys sit out, and whether it's mandatory minicamp or whether it's the start of training camp, and they get fined, and then a deal comes about, and the team either works the fines into the deal or they just waive the fine. The fine, it's a non-issue, and maybe it's the first time he's been threatened with a fine, and so he wasn't aware of that, or he isn't aware of how these things usually play out. But the way he made it sound at first sounded like it was a really pointed text that triggered him, and he kind of backed away from that a little bit later in the conversation, which makes everything more absurd, confusing, whatever it is. He did say that he was coming in anyhow for Sam Hubbard's folding event on Thursday. So had that not been there, maybe he doesn't come in. Maybe he doesn't jump on a plane and come to Cincinnati and do this whole thing. But he was coming anyhow, and he wanted to say his piece, and he certainly did.
Yeah, called it Media Day, and it was. And thanks to everybody that stuck with us through the shaky arms of those of us that were trying to take video, especially on iPhones. If you've ever tried to be shoved up against a bunch of people and I had the recorder and phone up, and we're all like together. So we're trying not to like hurt each other. Because I'm like, you can see it. You can see other people's hands. I was at one point just going to rest my camera on James's head because I was right behind him. And then I was trying not to drop my other recorder. I switched hands. I was trying not to drop it on Skinny's shoulder. And I was like, yeah, it was just, and then there's the shaking, right? And it was like, lot of muscles that don't normally get used were getting used in this one to bring that video. But the full video is up on the YouTube page. If you want to go listen to the whole thing, all 25 minutes, it is all there. Feel free to go and check that out. The one thing that I want to get into, and this is a piece I have a column up now on The Athletic. If you want to go read it, Jay's got observations up. Please go read that stuff. The one thing that I kept coming back to, and this is what I wrote about, is how avoidable all of this was. Like it goes back to the same thing that we have been talking about with the Bengals in general through all of these contracts. Act early, act decisively, have a plan, be proactive. If you knew that T and Jamar were going to be prioritized over top of Trey Hendrickson, which you did, then that should change things. If you knew the type of numbers that the edge rusher market was going to get, which you should have been able to anticipate considering some of the people that were up. Maybe you didn't think it would go all the way up because of what happened with Myles Garrett, but you had to have known. Trey's camp knew that these numbers could go up. If you knew everything about how the offseason could go, about, hey, we're out here putting out trade requests, right? Like, go find out. You found out what the market was. There were offers. Teams were interested. They called, right? There was at least an offer. If you knew then getting him in is going to be nasty, okay? Because the pie is different now. Because we're going to spend on these guys. This is the direction we're going to go. We know we have to do this in free agency. We know what it is. We're not willing to go there. We don't like the fact that he's 30 or that he's not as great against the run or whatever the knocks are, the lumps that Trey was referring to when he talked today. If you knew all of that stuff, trade him. Then trade him while you have value. Teams are willing someone that's willing to pay him. Use the $16 million to add a couple of supplementary free agents on your defensive line. Get an extra draft pick. Use that on another pass rusher, edge rusher. Throw all those young players into the mix on the new young defense and move forward. Avoid all of this. Avoid the garbage. If you know how much it matters to you to avoid the drama of the last couple of years that seeped into the season, the hat watch with Jamar and everything else and all the trade requests and everything that was going on. If you were just over that and you wanted to have a clean year and a fresh start and feel everyone's rejuvenated and on board, then be done with it. Or if you know we have the 9th most cap space in 2026, we've got $68 million that we could use next year. We can afford it. Let's just do it. And let's do it before people like Myles Garrett and Max Crosby and Danielle Hunter change the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Again, act early, have a plan, be proactive. The inability to do that leaves you with today and what's been going on all year. And more of this, it's not just narrative. It is distraction. It is stupid. And it is a whole other thing that just no one needs to be dealing with if you're trying to be a real professional, win the Super Bowl organization that's got that focus. And I'm not saying that all those players that were practicing the background or doing whatever while Trey was there in his gear today are affected by it, but it's there. It's a thing. And you don't need this crap anymore. And it just feels like if you just would have acted on March 9th and said, here's the best offer we have, let's just do this. Or let's just pay Trey and be done with this, rather than saying, let's stay and fight it out tooth and nail all off season. It doesn't have to be this way. It's so avoidable.
Yeah. And you said with the young players. So when we were walking in after this was all over, I don't want to call out the player by name, but a young guy on defense said, hey, what'd Trey say to you guys? Like, they want to know. They want to know what's going on here. It may not distract them from getting their work done, but you're right. It's there. It's a thing. And the Bengals could have avoided this. They could have paid Jamar last year and got him for cheaper. And then the money, the difference between what they paid him this year and they paid him last year, that could have gone toward Trey. You say it all the time. They don't make deals until they have to. And that you end up paying more. And not financially, but you end up you take hits to your reputation. You take, I don't know, just unhappy players. And that seeps in when guys feel like they're not being respected, that seeps into the locker room as well. And then guys that are going to be up for deals in the next couple of years are looking at this like, is this how they're going to treat me? And it all has legs, it all has meaning, and it's avoidable. And I wonder when he said that they told him that if he played at that high level, they would do right by him, and maybe they totally meant that, and they don't see this as reneging. I don't know what the offer is, but say it's $30 million a year, and they're saying, well, that's almost a 100% raise. The 15.8 base salary he has this year, that's doing right by him, and he's not looking at it that way. He's not looking at himself in a vacuum. He's looking at the entire market. And what you said again with Myles Garrett, and they should have known this was going to happen. It's not just the receivers that were blowing up. It's all these other high value positions. Or they should have known it just based on Jesse Bates alone. The money that safeties are getting all of a sudden, and they drag their feet, and now they're having to pay for it. In terms of the reputation hit, we'll see if they end up paying real money for it. It feels like this is going to go on for a while. I feel like we're going to be the Treys of our lives is going to be a thing well into training camp, maybe well into the season.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere, and it's going to be a thing next Tuesday when Joe Burrow takes the podium, right? I mean, there's only one guy that really changes things around here, and that we've learned has the ability to change anything around here and influence the decision making, and that is Joe Burrow, and he has not spoken, at least to us in this way, since before all of this. And so he'll be around. He was going to originally speak today. It wasn't connected to the Trey stuff, at least doesn't seem to be. And it was just a matter, they moved him off of speaking today because he had other stuff going on. But next Tuesday, this is going to be topic 1A is what his thoughts are. And is Trey going to be a need next Tuesday? Is there going to be the Bengals, front office needs to find a way to get this done? Or is this going to be I'm not going to get in Trey's business situation now that he got his receivers and Mike G and all that stuff? It's like all is well for Joe. I don't know. I'm curious, actually, and we'll all find out together next week. And it'll be really interesting because he's really the one that holds the only card of leverage that Trey has. Trey has no leverage really right now.
No.
He's got a contract.
Yeah.
And maybe he has the help of Joe Burrow, depending on what Joe wants to say or have influence about. Or maybe Joe says something and then wink, wink behind closed doors differently. I don't know. We'll all be watching, though. I can tell you that much. What I really wanted to be watching today, though, was Mike take Trey on a golf cart ride. I really wanted that. I was like, oh, man, the last time I felt like this, and I posted the video of like, here's Mike, and then the slow pan, and there's Trey. Because Trey was, like I said, talking to media, talking to security. There was no, Caroline and Elizabeth were out there. Mike Brown was out there. There were people in the organization there out there. They weren't going over there, nor would I have expected them to in front of all of us. But I could have used a golf cart ride just to really top off a weird day. Bring it back. Play the hits, Mike. Encore, play the hits. Come on. Are you going to go see the Eagles and they don't play Hotel California? Trey's here. You're on the golf cart. Give him the ride. Let's go. I wanted it. Didn't
Maybe
happen.
that's the clearest sign yet that Joe Mixon got a golf cart ride after he signed his deal. Joe Burrow got one before he signed his deal. Those deals got done. Maybe no golf cart ride means no deal forthcoming.
No golf cart ride, no deal. That's the new motto on the wall somewhere next to winners make believers of us all. So, all right. A weird day. A lot more that's going to continue. You're right. There's no end in sight here. I did a half hour with Robert Mays on the Athletic Football Show. Great conversation with him. That will be up in the morning if you want to go to listen to more. And that was more of a big picture conversation, sort of not just Trey, but of players trying to find new ways to find leverage and play some kind of game with in an NFL world that's really built against these guys having any way to change their luck, change their situation. They're at, they're here, and the Bengals kind of control Trey's fate. And you can see him now in year after year being like, I just want my value. Send me wherever, do whatever. I just want my money. I just want to get paid what people who perform like me get paid. That's all. And then the Bengals say, but you have a contract. And then they also have other levers they can pull if he doesn't, like franchise tags and things like that.
Yeah.
And he called it a weird dilemma. It is for him, but it's also one that you got to just kind of say, I'm kind of up against it here. It's a rock and a hard place for a player in this world. And he's also done fairly well for himself, but I understand wanting to finish it off with the last contract of his life. It's a big moment for him, and he's fighting for it. In some ways, I respect this, even though I think this is a fight that's not going to help him today. But off it goes, right?
Yeah.
The next one will happen, and we'll continue doing it, and we'll be back.
Like sand through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
There it is. We'll be back. We won't stop. We'll keep going. Have a good one, everybody. Good night.